NASCAR shows mercy on Rick Ware Racing, and Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. are on upset alert going into this weekend's race at Martinsville. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday. Full service today. We've got some news to cover, but we'll also be taking a good, hard, analytical look at the remaining round of 8 drivers. But first, this episode is sponsored by my friends at 1821 Man-Made. 1821 offers top-shelf grooming goods for the aspiring gentleman because a well-groomed man feels self-assured with confidence in spades to take on the day ahead. Inspired by Prohibition-era bootleggers, the 1821 Barrel House empowers men to be the gentlemen that they deep down aspire to be through professional-grade grooming products and lifestyle wisdom. Some of my favorite premium, one-of-a-kind products are their 3-in-1 Man-Made Wash, as well as the Spirits Spritzer. Smell it from here, and I filmed that clip days ago. Head on over to 1821manmade.com right now to see these great products and more for yourself. And viewers of this show get a special discount when they use checkout code 1821NASCAR, so be sure to take advantage of that. Thank you to 1821 Man-Made for sponsoring the show. News first, we'll talk Martinsville in a moment. Danny Stockman is joining Jesse Love at Richard Childress Racing next season. The team announced this yesterday. Danny Stockman has spent the past few seasons in the Craftsman Truck Series. He won races with Chandler Smith the past 2 years at KBM. He hasn't crew chiefed in the Xfinity Series since 2019, I think, but he has worked at RCR before. I think this is going to be a great fit. Danny Stockman is known for working well with young, up-and-coming, talented drivers. Jesse Love is 18 years old. I think he'll be 19 soon after next year starts. He's young, he's raw, but there's clearly some talent there. He just won 10 out of 20 ARCA races. I know. He's in the best car. There's only like 3 legit competitors on a weekly basis. But you win 10 out of 20 anything, I'm sorry, that's going to turn heads, and it should. I talked about Jesse Love earlier this week, but the expectations are you got to win. You drive for Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series. I don't care if you're 18, 19 years old. The expectation is that you win a race and qualify for the 12-driver playoffs. It won't be easy. I mean, last year, the 2-car didn't win a race and also didn't make the playoffs. But now with a good veteran crew chief like Danny Stockman joining you, no excuses. This team's got to get it done this year. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. Next story, and this topic is kind of interesting. It's kind of flown under the radar most of this year. I've tried to bring it up a couple of times here or there, but it's a very ambiguous topic for this very reason. Bob Pockers from Fox Sports reported yesterday, NASCAR says it will not repossess Rick Ware Racing's number 51 charter, even if in bottom 3 of chartered teams this year. It'd be NASCAR's option. The rule is designed to prevent start and park. Rick Ware Racing's RFK Alliance use of Roush Yates engines signing Haley shows commitment to performance. So yes, to further explain, there is sort of a performance clause within the current charter agreement. If your charter finishes in the bottom 3 of the 36 charters, so 34th through 36th place, 3 years in a row, NASCAR has the right to repossess your charter and then sell it themselves to the highest bidder. But this ruling here is why it's kind of vague and ambiguous. Like, we've known almost all year that the 51 charter was likely going to finish bottom 3 for the 3rd year in a row, but we weren't sure how NASCAR was going to react. So whenever we discuss silly season, other teams in the charter market never really knew how to view Rick Ware Racing because we weren't really sure what the fate of that charter was going to be. But we now know NASCAR is showing the team some mercy, for lack of a better word. And look, I get it. Rick Ware Racing has gotten faster the past couple of years, at least on the stopwatch. The problem is in the next-gen era, many other teams have also gotten faster, but they've closed the gap, no doubt. And according to that report, the signing of Justin Haley also made a difference. You know, when Justin Haley announced that move, he made it clear that he felt wanted by Rick Ware Racing, that Rick Ware was constantly trying to talk to him, that Brad Keselowski was present during their initial meetings and interviews. Justin Haley is a solid, still very young driver. Rick Ware Racing hasn't really done this before on the NASCAR side. They've usually filled their cup cars with some combination of Cody Ware and aging veterans who bring funding. But this year, partially since Cody Ware's arrest and subsequent suspension, they've started down a slightly different path. They've signed drivers like Ryan Newman, okay, Zane Smith, great young prospect, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Brennan Poole, Jenson Button, a Formula One world champion. Quality race car drivers have filled out much of Rick Ware Racing's lineup this year, and next year they're focusing on one anchor driver that could establish a baseline, maybe begin to build a culture, maybe help them grow. I get why NASCAR wouldn't want to be too harsh in this case. Now, if that 51 is bottom 3 again next year, or maybe the year after as well, NASCAR may revisit this. But for the time being, that Rick Ware Racing charter is secure. I do wonder though, and I haven't dug around in a while, but I believe the Live Fast charter was about to finish bottom 3 for either the second or third year in a row. I wonder if that's part of what motivated them to sell to Spire when they did. Because while Rick Ware has the RFK Alliance, a solid young anchor driver, Live Fast doesn't really have those things. I think they would have had a much more difficult argument. So, hey, make your 40 million or whatever it is when you can get it. Anyway, Martinsville's this weekend. Hope y'all didn't forget. Short track package this, short track package that. The fall Martinsville race the past few years, I think, has been immune to any car challenges, even tire challenges. Now, Goodyear is bringing a different tire this weekend, which drivers have been fairly positive about. The Martinsville Round of 8 finale has been must-see television for several years in a row now, basically ever since it moved to this slot. 2 Round of 8 drivers have already clinched spots in the championship 4, which means there are 6 remaining contenders battling for only 2 spots. You can see the current points right there. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell locked in. We're really not going to focus on them this week. We're going to focus on the remaining 6, which means it's time to bring out my new contraption, the world famous, the bone-chilling Advanceometer. With it, I will take over the tri-state area. Yes, the Advanceometer. I made it in Photoshop in 5 minutes. Honestly, look at it. I'm embarrassed it took that long. Let's start at the top. William Byron enters Martinsville plus 30 points. William Byron won the first Martinsville race in the next-gen era. It was almost 2 years ago now. But the results this season on short tracks have been kind of inconsistent for William Byron. Like, Martinsville this past spring, he finished 23rd. But his teammate won. Remember, Kyle Larson won this past spring. So it's safe to say, I believe, that the Hendrick Motorsports Chevys will be at least decent. And when you're plus 30 points, you don't need to be great. You just need to be decent, maybe good. Let's say good. William Byron has been very good these playoffs. His worst finish the past 8 weeks is 15th. And if you look at the last 5 races, he's been 1st, 2nd, 7th, 4th. Smooth and steady. All William Byron needs to do this weekend is avoid disaster. I'm putting his Advanceometer odds at a 9 out of 10. This has already been a tremendous season for William Byron. I would not be surprised if in 10, 20 years, we're looking back on the Rudy Fugle move. Hendrick getting Rudy Fugle to come over from Kyle Busch Motorsports. We may look at that move in 10 years the same way we look at, Tom Brady getting drafted in the 6th round, or LeBron James choosing to go to Miami for 4 years, build a super team. One simple move that had a major impact on an entire era of that sport. I'm probably over-exaggerating a bit. I did just compare William Byron and Rudy Fugle to like the 2 greatest American athletes the past 20 years. But my point is that Rudy Fugle is very good. You could tell the moment he and William Byron were paired up, this was going to be a great team, but they have evolved in just 3 short years into a force to be reckoned with. 9 out of 10 for William Byron. He just has to be decent. He's even 20 points ahead of Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney holding on to the 4th and final spot for the time being. He entered this round 8th out of 8. 8th on the grid, last place, bottom of the barrel. Now he's to the good, going to one of his better racetracks. He's never won here, but in his last 9 Martinsville starts, Blaney's worst finish is 11th. He has won multiple stages. This past spring, he finished 7th after starting 31st. A lot of talk this year about Ford's aero deficiencies, but on these short ovals, that's kind of a non-factor. Again, think about Martinsville this past spring. Joey Logano, a Ford, Blaney's teammate, finished 2nd. Remember how good the Stewart-Haas Racing Fords looked. On paper, things are shaping up really well for Ryan Blaney, but I am still a bit concerned. He's run well these past few weeks, at mile and a halves. Martinsville is a short track. No similarities. I believe Ryan Blaney's future will be determined on Saturday. Quite honestly, he needs to qualify well. You look at these drivers behind him, a lot of good short track racers, especially, Hamlin, Truex, and Tyler Reddick. He's only 10 points back. I went and looked at all these drivers' average starting position in these playoffs. Tyler Reddick's average start the past 8 weeks is 7.5. Compare that to Ryan Blaney, whose average start is 13th. That's a 6-point swing. If that's how they finish in the opening stage, boom, there goes most of Ryan Blaney's points advantage. Blaney needs to qualify well. It's hard to pass at Martinsville. If your car's decent at all, you'll likely maintain most of your track position, earn stage points. You need to out-earn Tyler Reddick if at all possible. If Blaney still has a 10-plus point cushion going into stage 3 on Sunday, I think he advances. But if not, I don't think Penske will be defending their championship at Phoenix this year. I hope I don't sound like a hater here, but I'm going with the 5. I'm giving Ryan Blaney kind of a toss-up on the advance-o-meter. On the plus side, I think he agrees that Saturday means the world. Here's what he said on SiriusXM NASCAR radio yesterday, quote, "It all starts on Saturday, trying to qualify well, something we didn't do in the spring. We have to be better there. It was easier to move forward in the old car at this racetrack, and with the short track package now and the next-gen car, it's a little bit tougher to move forward." Ryan Blaney understands the mission. Now he just has to execute. I guess easier said than done. But let's move on. I mentioned him a moment ago, Tyler Reddick, minus 10 points. First driver currently out. Reddick's only top 10 at Martinsville came in 2021. But this past spring, he qualified well, collected some stage points, but problems led to him finishing 22nd. Obviously, that won't be good enough this time around. I mentioned William Byron, smooth and steady. Reddick hasn't been too far behind. His last 3 finishes, 3rd, 6th, and 8th. A lot of solid momentum going into this weekend. Tyler Reddick gets a 4 on the advance-o-meter. He's just a huge wild card. He's hard to predict. Unlike some of these names behind him, I don't think Reddick's team is thinking must win, at least not right off the bat. Again, I think the Reddick-Blaney battle could be decided on Saturday. Whoever qualifies better and is in position to capitalize in stage 1, maybe even stage 2, that's who's going to have the advantage between the two of them. Obviously, if someone like a Hamlin or Truex wins, that could disrupt things, but if it's just one-on-one, Reddick versus Blaney, Saturday is what's most important. And Reddick, I read you the stats recently, has out-qualified Ryan Blaney consistently. Toyota, especially Christopher Bell, they've been rocket ships on Saturday the past few weeks. Reddick just needs to qualify well, earn stage points, whittle that 10-point deficit down going into stage 3. Then he has a really good shot. Let's move on, though. A tie for 6th, effectively. Denny Hamlin is 17 points back. Remember when he tweeted this about a month ago? This is our year. This was supposed to be his year. 3 wins. I think he has the 3rd most top 5s this year, 3rd most stage wins. Debuted a new podcast that's making waves every single week. It's a new Denny Hamlin, or maybe it's the same old Denny Hamlin. We all just have more access to him than ever before. Back when he tweeted that, he was rolling. First 3 races of these playoffs, I think he had the best car. Second round of the playoffs, he still had 2 top 5s. But then the Roval happened. It was a terrible weekend. He spun out in practice, spun out twice in the race, finished 37th. Ooh. Since then, here in the round of 8, he kind of faded at the end of the Las Vegas race, finished 10th, lost some important points. What have we said? You can't be good, you have to be great. You also have to be a little lucky, and Hamlin's luck ran out, unfortunately, this past weekend at Homestead, Miami, when an apparent power steering issue or failure sent him into the outside wall late. DNF'd once again. If you're a believer in momentum, Denny Hamlin's momentum has died out the past few weeks, but I'm still going to give him a respectable 4 on the advance-o-meter. Look, 17 points is a large deficit to overcome. It's not impossible, but it's unlikely. Luckily for Denny and other Hamlin fans, He's heading to one of his best tracks. He's finished top 5 the past 2 trips to Martinsville. He has 5 career wins at the paperclip, although his last win came in 2015, I believe. So it's been a while, but still one of his best racetracks. This is his time to shine. If this is truly Denny Hamlin's year, this is the weekend you ditch that not clutch label. A lot of pressure on Denny Hamlin and that 11 team this weekend, but he's a veteran driver. He's supposed to be able to handle it. Giving him a 4. Just 2 more drivers. Let's talk Martin Truex Jr., who's effectively tied with Denny Hamlin. My outlook for Truex is not quite as positive. The big thing going for Martin Truex Jr. was how well he ran here in the spring. He qualified top 5, finished 3rd, but in between, he had to overcome a lot of adversity. He had a pit road penalty, I think in stage 2, was running outside the top 30 at one point, had to work his way through all that traffic, through the field, to finish inside the top 5. Martin Truex Jr. has 3 wins at Martinsville. They've all come in the past 4 years. This is a very good track for him, just like it is for Denny Hamlin or even Ryan Blaney. But do you know how earlier I said William Byron has been smooth and steady these playoffs? The exact opposite is true for Martin Truex Jr. He has not had a smooth race yet. Last week, it was the pit crew was slow, then the untimely caution, and of course, the mechanical failure, a TRD motor failure. The week before that, it was his crew chief employing a bad strategy that cost him stage points. With how difficult it is to pass at Martinsville these days, any miscalculation like that could be costly. The vibes are all out of whack with the 19 team right now. If not for his recent Martinsville success, I'd probably be looking at a 1 or a 2. But I'm going to give Martin Truex Jr. a 3 on the advanceometer out of pure respect for his short track racing skill. I'm giving him at least a fighting chance, but more than likely he's going to need to win. Lastly, let's talk about Chris Buescher. There is no debate. He does have to win this race. And unfortunately, his best career Martinsville finish was this past spring, 14th. But he's been good at other short tracks this year. He was 4th at Bristol not that long ago, 1 at Richmond over the summer. So there is reason to be optimistic, but these past few weeks, this has not looked like the same 17 team. I don't mean to suggest that complacency has crept in. Obviously, you make it this far, you want to get even further. They want to get to the championship where they believe they have a legit shot at winning the title. But you go back to our preseason expectations, RFK Racing has far exceeded really what anyone thought they could do this year. Both teams in the round of 12, Chris Buescher with 3 W's in the round of 8. They say the best athletes, the best teams are never satisfied, but these are humans we're talking about. Human emotions are real. If Chris Buescher's season comes to an end on Sunday, this is still a very satisfying 2023. Far exceeded expectations, took a huge jump forward. You could argue RFK is ahead of schedule. No one saw this type of season coming from that team. They turned heads. So even if they get eliminated this weekend, which is most likely, still a satisfying 2023. You try not to let that complacency creep in this week. All focus, all energy should be going towards winning, and it obviously will, but I'm just saying, Chris Buescher, I'm putting him at a 1. I know he struggled the past 2 weeks at mile and a halfs, and that's pretty common this year for him. He's going to a short track now. He should be better. I'll be shocked if he doesn't run top 10, but I just don't see him breaking through the Hamlins, the Byrons, the Blaneys even, heck, even the Truexes. Larson will be fast, I'm sure, maybe even Chase Elliott. I just don't see Chris Buescher breaking into that tier this weekend when all the chips have been pushed to the center of the table. I just made a Las Vegas gambling reference. That was 2 weeks ago, and I don't even gamble. I don't know how to play any of those games. I've never pushed all my chips to the center of the table. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there you go. Advanceometer back in all of its glory. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Leave a comment down below. Do you agree with my assessment of your favorite driver perhaps? Or do you think I'm missing something? Am I selling your guy short? Maybe am I a little overconfident in some cases? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But that's going to do it for this one, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. The button's down there somewhere. If you're new to the channel, if you love all things NASCAR, we talk stock cars every single day. And thank you to my Patreon supporters as always. Want to shout out the latest episode of my podcast, Power Hour. Got to talk to Eric Jones a bit more this week. Encourage you to go check that out wherever you get your podcasts. I will see y'all later this weekend, likely after the Martinsville race Sunday evening. Have a great weekend, folks. I can't wait.